Sing to me of the man, Muse, the man of twists and turns, driven time and again off course, once he had plundered the hallowed heights of Troy. So begins Homer's epic, The Odyssey, a story retold for thousands of years, and again this summer with Christopher Nolan at the helm. Millions are heading to the theater to watch Matt Damon get lost yet again. But as excited as I am to see the film, I already know it'll be missing something you can only experience in person, directly from the land that birthed these stories of gods and heroes. That's why last month I spent a week running around the Peloponnese trails of Greece, where stories of the gods who went on to comfort or torture Odysseus were born. And based on the look of that storm, the gods won't be sitting idly by. It all begins in Athens, home of the Acropolis, built in honor of the city's patron goddess, Athena. Seen here swinging with Telemachus. Man, Greek myths are wild.
Oh, so much worse.
The modern world is out in full force. Athens' pride has taken over the streets alongside the usual throngs of tourists before giving way to the Flamingo Revolution, protesters fighting the development of a proposed Albanian resort created by Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. Apparently I need to go even further back in time to get away from those schmucks, so I head to Philopapos Hill, revered for thousands of years as the Hill of the Muses. Labrys is here preparing for Planteria in honor of the aforementioned goddess Athena. You heard that right, these are modern-day Greek polytheists who continue to worship the ancient gods of Olympia: Zeus, Dionysus, Poseidon, the whole damn incestuous fam. Today's special occasion is an ancient Athenian purification festival marking the ritual cleansing of Athena's sacred statue. I figure there are worse ways to start my run across the Peloponnese than appeasing one of the most important gods in all of the Odyssey. Alright, underway here on the Menalon Trail. It's about 78 kilometers total. I've got just 12 today because I started off in Athens and I had to get here. So 12 kilometers today from Stymica to Dimitsana. And then tomorrow I think it's like 27. And then I finish with 35. I mean, it's a technical trail so far. Little overgrown, but like in a nice wild way. You can still see the trail. It's been well marked so far, so can't complain. I'm trail running in Greece. That doesn't suck. I wanted to come here because last year, the completion of a 1,700 kilometer trail network across the Peloponnese tied to the ancient myths was announced. I've long been interested in Greek mythology and thought, what better way to immerse myself in the myths than to run across the trails that bear their names, surrounded by their temples, and through the land of Pan itself. I can see why Pan needed some goat legs on these trails. Very rocky so far, with occasional bit of kind of runnable trail, but you really gotta watch your step. The trail runs along the Lucios River. This, the myths say, is where a newborn Zeus was bathed by nymphs. It's impossible to keep up with all the myths pouring out of the mud-streaked rock and pine forest. As Patrick Leigh Farmer wrote, all of Greece is absorbing and rewarding. There is hardly a rock or a stream without a battle or a myth, a miracle or a peasant anecdote or a superstition. Alright, we've got about 3.2 to go, finishing with about 400 meters of uphill climbing. Now, I have no idea if this is actually an ancient road, but sure feels like it. Trotting over the jigsaw puzzle-like flagstone of Dimitsana, I take the evening to rest my legs. Tomorrow, I'm heading into the thick of the Menalon Trail. Good morning, sports fans. I am just in bed here in Dimitsana enjoying some coffee. And, perhaps most importantly, some cherries from the owner of this fine establishment's cherry tree. And I'm going to nosh on these for a little bit. Some other little snackies before I start moving for day 2 on the Menalon Trail. Alright, Kalimera, and we start going up out of Dimitsana. Day 2 is where the trail really opens up. The 26-kilometer run from Dimitsana to Vitina showcases the variety of the Menalon Trail, a seamless mixture of challenging, rocky climbs and long, runnable stretches through pine tree forest with a thick canopy that blankets the sky and blots out the sun. Even repeating some of the climbs for y'all. What a guy. This, dear viewers, is my happy place. Just about to the top of the whole kit and caboodle. I think it's about 1,500 meters above sea level. Then we'll take a quick break, snack up, and it's pretty much downhill for the rest of it. Alright, sports fans, we are winding this trail down, just about 5K to go. Absolutely love this trail. One of my favorites of, dare I say, all time, definitely in recent memory. Just as I thought I'd be coasting the last kilometer plus in, there's this sneaky 100+ meter climb right at the end, for basically the end of the hike. Of the run, whatever I'm doing out here.
Pulling into Vitina, I plan for an early night. Tomorrow's forecast promises storms, and in a country rife with tales of ancient gods toying with man, I don't want to push my luck.
Alright, so here's the scoop, sports fans. I've started my third day nice and early, 5:45 in the morning, because there's a forecast of thunderstorms in the afternoon, so I got my ass moving. And in doing so, I forgot my DJI, my action camera, so gonna be minimal footage today, and that's okay because I need to keep moving. So perhaps this will be a nice meditation on, just enjoying the surroundings and not worrying about footage. But there's some nice scenery, so I'm gonna stop every now and again, but I gotta keep moving.
At 37 kilometers with 1,650 meters of climbing, this is the longest and hardest day of the trip. But it's not just the profile itself that sends me to the brink with my heart beating out of my chest. It's how hard I'm pushing myself across this rumbling terrain in order to beat out the storm that's been lurking in the forecast all week.
Alright, making progress. I think we just finished our first of what my watch says is 11 climbs. And the sun's out now, pushing hard, trying to beat that storm. Just finished that 5K, 500 meter slog. Holy hell, my heart is pounding through my chest, but gotta do it. So far, the weather's looking okay. I'll feel a lot better if I can just get past this point, the highest point where you don't want to be during a storm, and can at least start running downhill. But I got about 12 kilometers left, so let's see how it goes. We're looking pretty good right now. It's starting to get a little darker, but cautiously optimistic. Have just 6 kilometers to go, about 100 meters more climbing. And, that's that.
And just as I start to think I'm in the clear, Zeus starts to grumble.
Alright, I can definitely see the storm is behind me, and I don't want to jinx it, but I have a feeling I come in just under the wire. 1 kilometer to go, but I've heard a couple of cracks of thunder, and I can see that it's raining where I was probably an hour ago. There's another one. I keep moving.
On a day where every minute mattered, I'm grateful that intuition struck and I decided to leave 15 minutes earlier in the morning. Or perhaps it was a blessing of wisdom from Athena. Who can say?
Done. Made it in time. Hearing lots of thunder. Gonna go inside. I need to eat all the food. But, hey, Menalon, that was amazing. Great trail.
With the downpour imminent, I scamper into the Messenia mountain resort for a quick shower and to enjoy the show not even 15 minutes later.
So as you can hear, I'm just out here enjoying the sky booms while working on my computer trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of the visit, looking at some other trails that I can try to run before heading back home to Berlin on Saturday. But yeah, this is a very lovely, quiet town, except for those people that just started yelling. But yeah, all the towns have been very lovely along the Menalon Trail. Absolutely love the trail. Really, I don't know if there's recency bias, but easily one of my favorite trails I've ever gotten to run on. Good morning, sports fans. It is yet another day on the Peloponnesian trails, and I am running from the Temple of Apollo to the Sanctuary of Zeus, about 16 kilometers. And how often do you get to say that you're running from Apollo to Zeus? So, here we go.
Unusually heavy spring rains have led to overgrowth of sharp bramble, slicing my legs to bits as I make my way across pale limestone boulders streaked with mud, scattered about like a toddler painting the floor with Lego.
Until nobody else has been out here, because I'm getting all the cobwebs. I am in a village and just started a pretty massive climb up to the sanctuary of Zeus. Yesterday I had 500 meters over 5K. This time I got about 500 over 3K.
This slice of Arcadia is known as the Land of Pan, the goat-legged, Syrinx-playing god of fertility, shepherds, and the wild. Greek myth holds that Pan lives in this chunk of Peloponnese wilderness. Tap dancing across rocky trails, boulders, and ancient roots rising out of the ground, I'm reminded yet again why the mischievous Pan needed a pair of goat legs to get around. The smooth flagstone through the villages are a respite from the butchery of my shins. But just as Odysseus survives torment at the hands of Poseidon, only to find peace when he wakes on the shore of Scheria, the path's finally clear, and I'm running up pleasantly packed dirt trails to the top of Mount Lycaon.
About 1.5 kilometers to go, and then we are at the sanctuary of Zeus. And, maybe pay my respects to the old man for not hurling one of his lightning bolts at me yesterday. Much appreciated.
Mount Lycaon is the anchor to one of the oldest myths tied to the birth of Zeus, who was worshipped here throughout antiquity. It stands above the sanctuary where archaeologists continue to work, uncovering ruins with deep athletic roots as the host of the Lycaon Games, a major Pan-Hellenic festival held every 4 years that rivaled Olympia with foot races, wrestling, and hoplite races. You can still see the tunnel ancient athletes used to reach the Hippodrome thousands of years ago. It's all a reminder that long before Nolan, long before Homer even committed it to verse, people were already coming to this piece of Peloponnese wilderness to test themselves against something larger. The final day takes me further south to Messenia and the earliest stories of the Odyssey itself. So it makes sense that Christopher Nolan used this region as a backdrop for his latest film. It's a comparatively shorter romp inland from the lagoon on a roasting sunny and 30-degree afternoon to the palace of Nestor, the same king of Pylos whom Telemachus visits in Book 3 of the Odyssey, seeking news of his missing father.
Finished the last climb of the trip in just a little less than 0.5 kilometer to the palace of Nestor.
What remains of the 3,000-year-old palace is covered and frankly not much to look at these days. To be fair, I don't think I'll look so hot in 3,000 years either. Even now, at the end of 115 kilometers and 4,000 meters of climbing across 5 days, from the mountain villages of Arcadia to the Mycenaean coast, I'm feeling a bit ruined myself. Some might say Odysseus was dealt a far worse hand, but I'm not keeping score. From the blinding of the Cyclops to the slaughter of the suitors, Nolan's The Odyssey will likely rekindle the world's infatuation with ancient Greece. If, like Odysseus, you have an insatiable thirst for adventure set in a land where you can feel the history, you could do worse than the Peloponnese and its trails. After all, this is where myths like the Odyssey were born in the first place.